So today I'm going to be sharing a little bit about the first time I met Dr. Pillai, and then speaking about a lifetime that he had, his most recent previous birth as Swami Ramalingam, a notable both saint and poet from the southern part of India, from Tamil Nadu, that has been revered over over the ages, and who lived a remarkable life that often Dr. Pillai refers to in his teachings. So I think I'll just start, and then we'll share, we'll play some of the mantras that Swami Ramalingam taught, or that Dr. Pillai taught in his life as Swami Ramalingam, related to the effulgent body of light, or what he called the deathless or immortal body, Parum Jyoti. Okay, so I think just to start, I wanted to share a little story about my first meeting with Dr. Pillai over 20 years ago now. And I had been living a life as an executive, founder, entrepreneur, technology person. And I was sitting in the boardroom one day in a board meeting, and I kept seeing this sort of endless cascade of quarter ends and bigger and bigger numbers putting on the financial statements. And I thought, wow, this is not the life that I came in for. And I thought, wow, I think I need to quit this job. And then in literally a split second, I thought, oh, wow, I need to end my relationship too. I was like, oh goodness, I need to move from the house that I'm living in. It was one of those intuitive knowings that something was opening up that was different, more meaningful, and deeper than what I was doing at that time. So within a month or two, I had done all of those things. I had left the job, I had left the relationship, kind of cleared the slates for what was coming next. And I decided that I would go to India, that I would take a trip, a couple of months just on my own pilgrimage, traveling alone through India as I'd never been before. And as I booked my flights, I didn't know where I was going. So I just sort of, booked a few things from here to there. And the night before or actually just a couple of days before I was meant to leave for India, I got an email, not sure how I got on the list. And this Indian Swami, Dr. Pillai, who was called Dr. Baba at the time, was doing a meditation session at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco, just a few blocks from my home. And so I thought, well, that's a nice way to start my little trip. So I went to the session, and the moment I walked in the doors of the auditorium, before I'd even laid eyes on him, all of my intuitive senses went on high alert. Wow, something interesting is happening here. I opened the doors of the auditorium. I arrived a little late, so they were already started. And I saw Dr. Pillai, and I thought, oh my, I've never seen you before, but I've known you for an eternity. It was an immediate recognition. And I sat down and did the meditation. And as he was leading the meditation, I thought, wow, I've done this meditation thousands of times, maybe tens of thousands of times, but I'd never done it in this lifetime. And at the end of the session, the woman who was hosting it, Padma, many of you know her, she said, Dr. Pillai is having his birthday celebration in India, in this place, from this date to this date. And those were I was literally flying into that place the night before and flying out of that place the night after those dates. I was somehow, miraculously, spontaneously, I had organized my flights, not knowing that that was the exact place I needed to be at that time. And during that first trip to India, Dr. Pillai was teaching something called the light body. And I had never heard of this before. I'd never had any, Eastern teachings. I grew up Christian, a great love for Jesus. I totally adore him. And Eastern mysticism had always been intriguing to me, and something that I felt was very, very near and dear to my heart, but I hadn't actually ever experienced it directly. And Dr. Pillai was teaching about the immortal body, the the effulgent light of grace, grace light. And as soon as he started speaking about it, while I was sitting on my cushion in India for the first time, listening to this beautiful enlightened master, I thought, oh my, that's what we're all here to do. It was just as clear to me then as it is today, that this is the birthright of humanity. This is the evolution of humankind. It's yet to be seen when we choose to step into that. But in terms of the actual next evolutionary step of humanity, right, it's moving not just into enlightenment of the mind, but a full, beautiful enlightenment of our body, mind, and soul, the eternal self. And Dr. Pillai taught it so beautifully and so compellingly that in the middle of that session, we were doing a deep meditation using the mantra that we'll be talking about here in a little bit. And I had this spontaneous past life memory of actually being with him, with Dr. Pillai, in his life as Swami Ramalingam. I didn't know any of the history at that point. I didn't have any of the cultural knowledge or context, but I had a very powerful memory, direct vision of that lifetime and he as Swami Ramalingam. As it turns out, what I've come to know since then, that he has shared with me and that has come in the nadis and that I have remembered as well, is that I was actually Dr. Pillai's sister in that life.